So far, we have discussed the ins and outs of democracy, elections, and politics. But what does it all mean for us as an individual? Is there anything that you can do to have your say in all of this?
Well, the answer to that is a big fat yes. In fact, most of what we've covered so far means zilch if you don't actively get involved.
A prime example of this is the unfortunately very low number of young people who vote in our elections. Statistics show that only 69.27% of New Zealanders aged between 18 and 24 turned out to vote in the 2017 elections. That's over 100,000 young people who didn't have a say in who runs our country, which would have made a massive difference. Low voter turnout is due to a number of different reasons, but it largely stems from a lack of understanding about politics in general. Some of it may be a bit tricky to wrap your head around, but it's worthwhile to try to understand. Having the right to vote in a democratic election is a pretty big deal. Who gets into a power has a massive effect on how the country is run and whether certain things are even legal. Amazingly, youth voter turnout was up 7% from the previous election. Estimates show that this had a massive effect on who got into power, as the Labour coalition government was up 37% from the polls, which showed 24% when Jacinda Ardern became the leader.
You may not be old enough to vote, but when the time comes, get out there and have your say. For more information on how to vote in elections, watch our videos on the elections or visit the New Zealand Electoral Commission website.
Fortunately, we don't have to wait until elections every 3 years to have our say on New Zealand politics. For instance, in New Zealand we have what's called the right of petition. A petition is a request asking Parliament to take action on a particular issue. It might ask for a law or policy to be changed or to put right on a more specific one. The great part about petitions is that anyone in New Zealand is allowed to make one. You can also support someone else's petition by signing it. After this video, follow this link and have a look at all the different types of petitions currently out there. Who knows, you might find something that you want to throw your support behind. There are several other ways you can have a say in making political change, such as by making submissions to Parliament or by talking to your local MP, who's responsible for the area where you live. We won't go into the nuts and bolts of these here, but you can find out more on the Parliament website.
But what if it's a situation where you feel like the rule makers are treating you unfairly? Every now and then, you might come across a situation where you feel like you're being treated unfairly by a government agency, or you smell a rat and you want to find out more about what's going on behind the scenes. It might be that the council isn't accepting your bus card, or that a university isn't letting you hold an event that they disagree with. As part of our basic rights in NZ, there are some laws to make sure that these issues are dealt with fairly. The Official Information Act gives every New Zealander the right to ask and receive information held by a government agency. This is to ensure that these agencies can't get away with doing dodgy deals behind our backs. Despite all this, sometimes you might feel like you're still being treated unfairly. Fortunately, there is somewhere we can go for help. The Ombudsman. Trust us, we didn't just make that name up. The Office of the Ombudsman is responsible to listening to any complaints the public might have about government agencies and carrying out a fair and impartial investigation. Basically, they protect our rights to be fairly treated by those in power. You can find out more about the Ombudsman here.
Now, you might have some issues that you feel really strongly about, but you've never done anything about it because, well, you're just one person, 5 million. What can you do? Well, just pause that for a second. Imagine if every single person in the country thought that way. No one would vote, no one would have their say, and no progress would be made. Collective action is a powerful thing. When one person steps up and says, I want to make a change, it gives other like-minded people the confidence to step up and do the same. Before you know it, hundreds of thousands of people are out there protesting for things like school strikes for climate change or Black Lives Matter, and representatives from Parliament are coming up and speaking to everyone, and change can be made. If the call is great enough, collective action is a powerful process that changes what happens in the country.
It's important to note you don't always have to be loud and proud to get involved. There are many more subtle ways that you can get involved with making meaningful change. Non-government organisations, or NGOs, like Greenpeace and Save the Children, are a great way to get involved with your community and enact meaningful change. NGOs are an awesome way because they actually do something about it and they take action on important issues.
In today's society, we shouldn't neglect the elephant in the room, that is social media. With so much of the world spending hours a day in the online world, social media platforms are a powerful vector for collective action. Information moves around in an instant, so an idea or opinion can quickly spread like wildfire. That information can also come from anyone, anywhere, so issues that would have never seen light of day in the past can now gather a lot of momentum like never before. Social media is making social change more frequent than ever before. Whilst this is positive, it can also be very dangerous, as we can quickly be swept up in a wave of misinformation and experience real-world consequences we never saw coming. So with all of this in mind, it is for the better that we can all have a voice in how New Zealand operates.
As a young person, you can play an active role in shaping the society that you will live in.
But before you go out and have your say on everything, remember to think critically and make measured decisions. All too often, us human beings end up just following the trends and start adopting the views and opinions of those around us.
Information can sometimes be twisted or charged with emotion to lure you into agreeing with a particular opinion. It is often easy to automatically support a new and topical idea because we want to fit in among our friends and family and belong to a group of people.
Whilst this does play an important role in shaping our views, it is critical that you identify what your personal values are. So this will help you give a true understanding of where you stand on various social issues.
So hopefully this has motivated you to equip yourself with the skills and knowledge you need to get out there and actively participate in New Zealand civics.
Fortunately, here in New Zealand, we have the opportunity to play a part in shaping the world around us. So get out there and get involved.